We've seen some financial issues emerge in free schools that I think are different to established schools that are already up and operating. I think the first key issue is to understand what clawback arrangements might operate, and some schools have had difficulties in this area. So where assessments are being made around the recruitment of pupils and funding levels based on that, if you are being funded on X number of pupils, what happens if you exceed that number? Will you get any additional funding? And if you don't meet that number, what clawback arrangements might be applied? And that's at two levels. The first level is when will the clawback be applied to the budget, and how that will affect the bottom line of your budget. The other is at a very pragmatic level, when will it be applied and how will that impact on the cash flow? And will there be enough money in the bank to run the payroll at that particular month? The other area where some free schools have had difficulties is where there's been delays in site procurement or moving to a new site that might involve additional costs at a school level, or delays in being able to move to a site that, I don't know, might be more energy efficient, and therefore you're paying high levels in the interim period. Or you might be operating on a dual site, which can be very expensive in terms of staff deployment and duplication of resources, because you might need them on both sides. And I think the final area in thinking of the special considerations around finance is to do with size of schools. As schools grow, they will have some inefficiencies built in, because they will have some overheads that are there regardless of the size of the school, and that might do with senior leadership appointments that are in place as the school grows, or it might be on-site issues where you won't get the economies of scale that you will have when the school is at full capacity. And you're also much more vulnerable to risks and the changes in staff. So I think scenario building becomes important, as does, at a very basic level, just thinking about what are the risks if this member of staff left, if we were delayed in making that appointment, how would we cope? And there are risk management registers out there that go into many levels of detail, but I think if you looked at one of those generic risk registers and thought, what are the particular ones that are right for our circumstances as a small and growing school, and just to do some scenario building around that would be